was a shocker this week when the FBI unveiled the identity of the sadistic killer they called the Collar Bomber, a depraved mastermind who strapped a bomb around the neck of Brian Wells, a bomb that went off, killing Brian as cameras rolled. Now, after nearly 4 years investigating one of the most bizarre and heinous crimes ever, on Wednesday, the FBI ID'd the mysterious Collar Bomber as a woman who may have plotted a crime so twisted that it may be impossible to completely unravel. The events that occurred in the afternoon of August 28, 2003, will remain forever etched in the memories of those who live in Erie, Pennsylvania.
Yes. 25. Brian, talk to this man. I don't know the address.
It was the day Brian Wells, a 46-year-old pizza delivery man, did something completely out of character. He robbed the PNC Bank on Peach Street in broad daylight.
Next in line, please.
He handed the teller a demand note. The note indicated that he was armed with a bomb. He requested that the teller give him $250,000.
It was something no one could believe. But there was Brian, captured on bank surveillance, leaving with $7,000 in cash.
911, what's your emergency? Yes, we just have been robbed.
He had a bomb or something wrapped around his neck.
You saw him with the bomb or whatever it was?
He's getting away! 5 Erie. I have the suspect in view at 7200.
He was seen in front of a McDonald's, reaching around in a flower bed near the McDonald's sign. After leaving the McDonald's, he traveled toward the Eyeglass World, which is located just off of Peach Street.
But what appeared to be a bungled bank robbery on the surface...
Driver! Step out of the car! Don't move! There was 3 men up at the towers. They shot at me.
turned out to be a sinister game with much higher stakes.
What's this? It's a bomb. Code 9, Code 9. Suspect claims to have a bomb on his person. Requesting backup.
Brian Wells told authorities he'd been abducted while delivering a pizza to Tower Road, a deserted area off Peach Street.
You order some pizza?
Brian said 3 unknown men locked a live bomb around his neck and gave him 9 pages of confusing instructions.
Remember, follow these instructions or you will die.
In order to save his life, Brian had less than an hour to play a scavenger hunt to find the key to disarm the bomb.
The end goal for Mr. Wells was to obtain information at each site, which would provide him with keys and combination for him to take the device off of his person.
He followed the instructions as well as he could. And he believed that, hey, if I get caught by police, they're going to help me out. All I have to do is get through this.
He pulled the key out and started a timer. I heard the ticking when he did it. It's going to go off. Suspect is saying he's on a timer. Where's the bomb truck?
The tragedy is Brian Wells died before the bomb squad arrived at the scene. With their only witness murdered, all authorities had to go on was the evidence left behind. A homemade bomb with a sinister-looking collar that had been locked around Brian's neck.
There were wires on the device that went nowhere and connected to nothing. There were warnings on the device about booby traps.
That would lead you to believe it's more dangerous, more powerful, more difficult to try and render safe than it truly was.
The most compelling evidence of all was the 9 pages of complex instructions, which revealed to investigators what the collar bomber was really up to. The notes tell Brian, warns him that he's being watched and threatens his life. Now, take a look at this handwriting. very carefully written, a little too careful. You can see where someone went back and added the top crown to this A to disguise his handwriting. And there's evidence there may have been two writers. Take a look at these eyes. One has a top and bottom line, or serif, but this one is written with a more shaky hand and has no serifs at all. Also, the notes are signed the troubleshooters, again suggesting that more than one person was involved. The instructions include elaborately drawn pictures and doodles. The scheme itself is made up with rules and scavenger hunt scenarios. There are even maps directing Brian's route for each stop. So the question the FBI began to ask was, what kind of game was the collar bomber playing?
This individual didn't appear to leave a whole lot to chance. It wanted to make sure everything that he wanted to happen would happen, choreographed like a play.
Of the 4 pages of instructions Brian handed to the bank teller, the last 2 were for the police.
My brother had a set of instructions to follow. The police had the same set of instructions on. Oh, just by the way, if you didn't catch them already, here's where we're sending them.
It all suggested to experts that the killer was sadistically using Brian Wells for his own personal gain and amusement.
We think he probably was in the area at some location and observing this for certain aspects of this crime as it unfolded.
We believe that there were multiple motives here, and that money, while being a motive, may not have been the primary motive.
Then a series of strange coincidences in the case.
Shortly after the robbery, individuals who have been known to Brian Wells died. Individuals who have lived in the vicinity of Brian Wells have been murdered.
Only 3 days after Brian Wells died, Robert Panetti, Brian's co-worker at the pizzeria, died of a drug overdose. Then authorities learned that a month before Brian died, an ex-con named Jim Roden had been murdered. His body put on ice in a house near Tower Road, a house Brian Wells actually drove past on his way to make his delivery.
Why'd you put the body in the freezer?
No comment.
You don't want to talk at all?
No comment.
Bill Rothstein, a local shop teacher, admitted hiding Roden's body in his freezer for his ex-fiancée, Marjorie Deal Armstrong. He said Marjorie panicked after shooting her boyfriend Roden with a shotgun.
Bill Rothstein is a filthy liar that's going to get sued.
And then, when this case couldn't get any stranger, another twist.
What do you have to say about Rothstein?
Rothstein should be charged with the murder of Brian Wells and a lot of other charges, and he had a fugitive from justice, a rapist that I turned into the FBI in his house for 2 years.
When agents recovered the corpse from Rothstein's house, they found Jay Stockton living there, a friend of Rothstein's and a fugitive from Washington State wanted for rape. And in the end, Stockton may prove to be the most important piece of this mysterious puzzle. The FBI trained their sights on a number of characters who fit the profile of the collar bomber. Considered by many in Erie to be the mastermind. He had the ego, the know-how, and the shady past. But what proof did investigators have? And how could they connect the dots from any of these characters to Brian Wells? And what about Brian Wells, the man who died such a horrible death? Why was he targeted? Could he have been involved? Or was he a scapegoat? Or was he somehow both? When we come back, we'll have the answers to some of those puzzling questions.
On Monday, a federal grand jury sitting here in Erie, Pennsylvania, returned a 3-count indictment.
Marjorie Deal Armstrong, a former school teacher who's serving time for killing her boyfriend, has been singled out as the brains behind the collar bomb conspiracy. Her motives more sinister than what investigators ever thought. Marjorie, who was once considered a marginal character in the plot, is now the sum total of a grand jury indictment.
I need all the help I can get, believe me.
According to prosecutors, Marjorie conspired to rob the PNC Bank in order to hire her fishing buddy, Ken Barnes, to kill her 89-year-old father, Harold. Federal prosecutors say Barnes, a convicted drug dealer, agreed to do the hit for $125 grand. According to the indictment, Marjorie pulled together a motley crew of talent, including her former lover, Bill Rothstein, a shop teacher.
They played homage. Okay?
And in a shocking development, prosecutors say Brian Wells, the pizza delivery man who died in the bomb blast, was actually a willing participant in the scheme.
We can't talk about why he became involved. We can't comment on what his motive may have been. But we do know, unfortunately, that Brian participated in a limited role in the planning and then in the carrying out of this robbery.
Prosecutors say the plot included meetings at Rothstein's house near Tower Road, writing the banknote, concocting the scavenger hunt, and, of course, things began to unravel, however, when prosecutors say Marjorie's boyfriend, Jim Roden, learned of the scheme.
In August of 2003, she killed her then live-in boyfriend to keep him from disclosing that the bank robbery plan was being formulated.
Prosecutors say when Brian met his co-conspirators at the end of Tower Road, he may have tried to back out of the scheme. The indictment says Marjorie Deal Armstrong and Ken Barnes sat across the street from the bank as Brian Wells walked in, Barnes watching through binoculars.
Sadly, the plans of these other individuals were much more sinister with Brian's, much more sinister, and he died as a result. It was part of the plan also that if the robber died, he could not be a witness against the other co-conspirators.
As federal investigators outlined their version of the case against Deal Armstrong, what they say happened didn't come as a surprise to Jim Roden's mother, Jean.
I don't know how I can describe her. To me, she's not a human being. She's a monster. To me, she's mental. But don't let that fool you. Part of the time, this woman is very sane.
While it seems that Marjorie Deal Armstrong is evil enough to plot this bizarre crime, others question whether she had the tools to actually carry it out.
It's Marjorie Deal and Ken Barnes, and it takes the FBI 4 years to round up these rocket scientists. I think we're in a world of hurt.
What do you have to say about Rothstein?
Rothstein should be charged with the murder of Brian Wells and a lot of other charges.
But what's most revealing is a series of rambling letters she wrote to America's Most Wanted. Marjorie comes off as an articulate, educated woman, but at the same time, a woman of delusions consumed with paranoia and revenge. In this letter, Marjorie blames her father for her mother's death. Here she says she dated a mobster who claimed he murdered a cop. Marjorie has long maintained her innocence in the Brian Wells case and gave our investigator her theory.
She described it as people killing people for sport. Men do that, not women. And she's not an exception to the rule. She said she wasn't involved in any way, shape, or form.
Just this week, Marjorie and Ken Barnes denied any involvement and said they don't understand why they're being charged.
No clue.
There's a lot of evidence against you right now. What do you have to say about that?
Nothing so bit.
AMW has learned that one of the key witnesses for the state is a man AMW investigated almost 2 years ago, Jay Stockton.
It appeared to me that Mr. Stockton has been cooperating with the government, has been granted some type of immunity in exchange for testimony against Ms. Dill and Mr. Barnes.
Immunity to a man whose ex-wife says is consumed by evil.
Hateful, controlling, manipulative, abusive.
How did he physically abuse you?
broke my jaw in 3 places. Almost killed me one time.
Janet and Jay Stockton were together for 30 years, separated by his prison stints for violent rapes, and Janet was clearly able to identify her ex-husband's hand in the collar bomb, the cane gun, and the instruction notes. She recognized specific phrases along with specific doodles.
The equal signs, the symbols used around words, they're things that I've seen in letters that he wrote me.
The collar bomber even used the equal signs on the homemade bomb. And the pull tab Janet noticed is painted Stockton's favorite color.
For me to look at this and all these coincidences, they're just too many and too much.
Criminals in a conspiracy know all too well that the version of the truth from the last man standing is not always what happened. And in a case where key players are deceased, blame gets placed where it may not belong, which is what so frustrates and angers the family of Brian Wells, who attended the government's press conference.
He is both a participant and a victim.
Liar. Answer, Mary Beth.
At this point, if the people in the back of the room do not respect the conference, we're going to have to ask that you leave.
John Wells, who's a member of the family, would like to use the podium. Is that all right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
My brother is a brutal murder victim. He didn't know any of these people. The fact that he delivered Rothstein a pizza does not make him a co-conspirator. When you have a bomb locked to your neck and federal authorities chop your head off to get the bomb off, there was no way Brian put that on himself.
John's anger finally came to the surface this week when he heard his brother's name implicated in this sinister plot. To him, it's inconceivable his brother would have participated in any crime, let alone one that would take his life.
Brian's being murdered every single day, daily, hourly now on all the shows, by innuendo of criminal types. And Brian's not here to defend himself. You can pretty much say anything you want about a dead person.
What burden are you tasked with now?
I'm tasked with proving he's innocent.
And so the indictments have been made, and names have been named in the collar bomber case. Still, no one's been charged with the murder of Brian Wells, and believe me, he was murdered. And the Wells family, Brian's 3 brothers, 3 sisters, and his mother, are still looking for some answers to some very basic questions. Brian's brother John has publicly asked, where's the evidence? Maybe for now, you and I and others who have followed this case must accept as much of the story as we've been allowed to hear so far. But imagine the family, people who knew and loved Brian more than anyone. They deserve to hear the complete story. They deserve to see all of the evidence. And most of all, they deserve justice. And we hope and pray that one day they'll get it.